on to ideas of innovation. So at our in-person conference, we'll have many SMEs from across Ireland. We'll have researchers from across Ireland, and with them, you'll be able to come up with new innovative ideas. And we're actually being funded by Intertrade Ireland, so they actually have told us they want to fund certain ideas that have come out of this, but obviously things are very competitive, so they will have to meet their brief as well. And it's not just that, but building these new innovative ideas will mean that it will make you more competitive for other funding opportunities, and we want to make you aware of those as well. So it would actually be great if some of you even reached out to me or Bobby, and we can actually conduct in-person, on-call interviews before the actual in-person event, figure out what you need, what you want, and put you in touch with the right people at Queen's University on the 5th of June as well. So I hope to see you all there because it should be a great time. And if nothing else, you'll get a free lunch out of it. So, but no, I think it's going to be great. And you'll get to speak to lots of fun people, lots of investors, and come away, I think, knowing exactly how you want to be competitive in the future. So our talk today, we're actually quite lucky to be, joined by an investor. So Stuart Gaffigan's here, and he is an investment manager at Clarendon Investment Fund. So he's going to tell us what exactly an investor is looking for in terms of putting investment into an SME. We're also lucky to be joined by Imran Asfal from Worth to Squeeze, and he's going to tell us how you can build value and how you can innovate as a small business in the agri-tech sector and how to really become competitive, which is kind of the aim of what AgriFood Connect is all about. And finally, we're being joined by Brian Green, who is actually a CEO, so joint CEO of Immune Technologies. And it's a recent spin out from Queen's University. And he's going to tell us how he got funding to start his journey as quite a successful small and medium-sized business. Now, I'm sure you want to hear from the investor, so I want to pass you on to Stuart Gaffigan, and I just want to thank him so much for joining us.
Thanks, Jamie. Thanks to Jamie and Stefan for asking me to participate today. So it's great to be here and good to see you guys online. So I should just caveat by saying Brian, I know Brian's on later, Jamie, I'm not sure whether he's on screen yet. We've actually invested in Immune Technologies as a really good quality spin out from Queen's University. So I will be listening carefully as to what Brian says about our funds. So we'll get there, I'm sure.
Yeah, you might be emailing them afterwards with a few
I may be catching up, but I'm sure it's all good. So listen, thanks for that. Jamie and Stefan have asked me just to share a little bit about what we as an early stage investor would hope to see from a early stage company. So just to give a little bit of background, I'm a senior investment manager at Clarendon Fund Managers. We are a early stage sort of seed to Series A funder based locally in Belfast. We are sector agnostic. We invest in deep tech and B2B SaaS, all sorts of things. And really the key things that we want to see are ambitious founders that have high growth, innovative businesses that want to go on a really fast growth journey, which will hopefully end in an exit. So those are sort of the things that really are interesting to us, and we invest in a lot of deep tech, and we partner closely with Queen's and UU locally to try and support those companies that are transitioning from academic research into commercial operations. So as I said, innovation is really important to us. That high growth journey, that those ambitious people and founders that want to go on this journey, that is really key. And really when we speak with those individuals, we want to try and understand their business as best we can. So that preparedness, that clarity of thought, and of clarity of that journey that they want to go on, and brevity to really get to the a real understanding of what that business is and what it wants to do is really important for us. So often we would ask, we would see business plans which are maybe tens of pages of prose. That's useful, but you know, all it really is that we're really interested in is a little pitch deck of 10, 12, 15 slides, something that you can talk through and really help us understand what you're doing. So the key themes are your team, who you are, why you are the best people to lead this business on this journey. A little bit about the problem that you're trying to solve and the solution and the product that you have that will help to do that. A little bit about your market that you're trying to play in and the competitive landscape, excuse me, of that market. And if you can try and segment that market down as much as possible. So if you're an agri-tech company, for instance, you know, having a slide which says the global agri-tech market is, you know, $1 squillion US, that's not really very interesting. You really need to try and segment your market and be specific with the actual market that you're going after. If I see another slide with $1 squillion US on it, it's just very frustrating. So, you know, it's probably going to be in the millions or the billions or whatever it is. So you can be specific with that slide is really important. In addition, really importantly, you know, how are you going to commercialize this opportunity? What is your route to market? What is the pipeline of opportunities? Who are the people that are interested in your technology? How are those discussions progressing? And hopefully you maybe already have some customers, but if you don't, showing that line of sight to getting those customers is really important as well. So ultimately, we as an investor and us as a relatively you know, sector agnostic investor, we are interested in other more technically competent people in your field believing in your product. So, you know, if you have customers, that is a huge validation point. If you have people that are hopefully going to convert to customers and revenue, that is an interesting validation point. And if you haven't spoken to anybody, that's not interesting for us or for an investor at all. Other things, obviously, financial projections. How, what is the journey that you expect to go on in terms of numbers? Is there a financial model that sits in behind that, which sings off the same hymn sheet as the narrative? And then what are you trying to raise? How much? What are you going to spend it on? Are you bringing in new people? Are you continuing to develop your product? How are you putting that money to good use? And then having an understanding of your fundraising ecosystem landscape. So if you're in Northern Ireland, are you SEIS or EIS applicable? If you're in the Republic of Ireland, do you have the same credentials in terms of being able to offer investors the tax breaks that make it easy for them or easier for them to invest in your business? So those are the sort of things that we would hope that you would have in a little slide deck. I think in addition to that, it's really important for you guys, and I know sometimes that's difficult, but it's really important that you understand how investors work. And if you can do, or do your best to understand the shoes that we stand in. You know, do you understand investment? Do you understand venture capital? Do you understand the cycles and the life cycles of capital? Do you understand how quickly an investor may expect you to exit your business? Do you understand how much you may sell your business for in 5 or 7 years? And I think if you look forward to in 5 years' time or 7 years' time or 10 years' time or whatever the case may be, you should then be able to work back and understand how much you need to raise and when you need to raise it, and what are the milestones that you need to achieve with that money. So if you are, for instance, make a number up, raising £1 million now, what do you need to demonstrate with that £1 million to investors, whether they are current or future? What do you need to demonstrate to them that you have done with that money that moves your company or your business into a better position so that you can take on that additional funding? Because none of you guys will be, if you're going on this journey, will raise once. You will raise once, twice, 3 times, 4 times or more to get from A to B. So understanding all of that stuff, understanding dilution, understanding the dynamics on a cap table is all really important. So just moving on a little bit more, I think understanding what your business is and what it isn't is really important. Understanding what type of investors you should be targeting and who you shouldn't. Understanding the stage of your business, and as a result of that, who is likely to be interested and who is likely not to be interested. So you guys, as much as investors want to diligence your business to work out whether they are interested in investing, you guys as business owners should be diligencing your investors to work out, is this the right investor for me at this stage in this sector? Are the investors going to be bringing additional skills or experience that can help me as the business owner and the founder of the business to go on the journey that I want to go on? So it's really important to diligence the investors. And then really important to listen to feedback. Okay. And I think I'm right in saying, Jamie, this is early stage, agri-tech, deep tech, etc. I think it's really important to listen to investors, listen to the partners that you have, listen to the commercial operations that you have engagement with, and try and distill that information and that feedback as part of the loop so that you are constantly iterating and understanding what value others see in your business or your technology. So if you are hearing the same feedback again and again from investors, you should act upon it. And that may mean, stopping talking to people. That may mean sort of realizing that this type of investor is not a good fit for me at this stage. Maybe I need to stop talking to VCs, and maybe I need to start talking to angel investors. Or maybe you're hearing information about your route to market, which just isn't attractive. Or you're hearing information about your quality of revenues, maybe your project-based revenues or consultancy or professional services-based revenues that from an investor's perspective just aren't attractive because they don't attract the multiples which will allow your business to grow in value. Maybe they want to see more recurring revenue, which again is attractive to investors. So take that feedback, with a pinch of salt as well. Not every investor is right, but I think if the feedback from various people is saying the same things, you should understand that and try and articulate or better articulate or have a think about existentially what you're doing in some of those areas to try and change your business model to something that maybe is more attractive. And as I said, collaborating with outside organizations, often a huge challenge for us. As I said, we invest in an awful lot of Queen's spinouts, an awful lot of University of Ulster spinouts, is encouraging founders to have tough conversations that might lead to feedback that you don't want to hear. Okay. So, speak to people who may be your customers or are your customers. Speak to people who may end up being your acquirer and ask them for tough feedback. Because if you don't take that tough feedback, even though it is very maybe hard to listen to, and it's not what you want to hear, you're only putting off and wasting time going down a rabbit burrow that is going to cost money and waste time not necessarily our time, but it's going to waste your own time. So really talk to the right people who are going to give you credible feedback to help you understand what you've got and what you've not got. And then my final point, more broadly about the investor ecosystem. And again, we're based in Belfast, and we invest across Northern Ireland, so we're familiar with the landscape here. But go and speak to the other partners that are here to support you. So Jamie's already mentioned Intertrade Ireland. We have a close working relationship with the guys in there. There's a guy in particular, a guy called Drew O'Sullivan, who some of you may or may not know. He is the sort of guy who can give you the feedback that you need, that again, you may not want to hear. And we would always encourage people to speak to the likes of Drew O'Sullivan and others in Intertrade Ireland who can give you a steer as to what their view of the market is and how you fit within that. Other organisations, Enterprise Ireland perform a similar role, Invest Northern Ireland perform another similar role, and again, all of these guys can offer various grants and financial support. Innovate UK provides some grant funding for Northern Irish business, and for those that are in the Republic of Ireland, European Horizon funding, which is much more attractive to, the size of that funding is even larger again than what Innovate UK can provide. So if you can take that non-dilutive funding and turn that into something of value, it makes it easier for investors to come alongside you. So we talk about a mix of funding is really important. That mix of non-dilutive, that mix of equity investment, and then within that equity investment sphere, having some angel investors who can write small checks, but can come alongside you, join your board, maybe understand your business or your market and really roll their sleeves up. And then also those venture capital funds who can bring that professionalism and all the general skills that they will bring as well. So the corporate governance, the support on business models and pricing models, on hiring, on building your board, all of those really key and important things that that mix of investors can help you with. So I'm conscious I've talked for quite a lot there, Jamie, so happy for you to direct the conversation, and if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer those as well.
Oh, that's great. Thanks so much for coming on the call, and that's very interesting. I just have a question for you in terms of the current climate for funding. So we're in a more volatile climate in general. So with Trump's tariffs coming, massive inflation, are investments becoming, are they looking for more niche things? Or are they looking for more general things that they hope will make a short-term profit? Or do they actually want innovation that's more long-term but more risky?
I think the answer to that is it depends on different funds. So again, understanding who your investor is. Some people want to be really patient and go on the journey with you for 10 years or more. Some people want to be in and out in 3 years and get their money back. So understanding that is really important. I can really only talk to Northern Ireland and the environment here, but there is a wash of cash, both with ourselves through the two funds that we manage. So the investment fund for Northern Ireland, which is a £33 million fund. We also manage Co-Fund NI, which is backed by Invest Northern Ireland. We just got awarded another £39 million. We're looking for good homes for all of that cash, and we're on the hunt for good, innovative businesses with ambitious founders. So, the landscape here is really supported. There are other funds here as well, which are also looking to support businesses. And I think what I would always say, Jamie, is good businesses, really good businesses will always get funded. And if you can put yourself in that position and articulate what you're wanting to do really well, and have some technology which is going to revolutionize the world or change the world, well then the good businesses will always attract capital. The businesses that aren't able to articulate themselves or aren't, really trying to change the world, those are the ones that likely won't get funded. So all that preparation that I mentioned earlier is really key to unlock that capital which is there. And again, the broader funding landscape in terms of grants and others, while those are really important, our view, and I think the way certainly Innovate UK is going, is that grant wants to sit beside equity now. It wants to align itself. Innovate UK, I think, are really going to shy away from just handing out cash willy-nilly to projects which aren't going to end up in being commercialized. So yeah, the landscape is certainly good, and certainly the landscape down south. Dublin is on fire. There's lots of great companies and great exits, and all of that capital is being recycled as well. And as you touch on, Jamie, look, the macro climate is a little bit more confused at the minute. We'll know more about Mr. Trump's tariffs over the next couple of days. But as I say, good businesses are nimble, are flexible, and find a way.
Just want to open up to any other questions for Stuart while we have them, because well, I think just for us reflecting, we're a new organization that's trying to, network and stuff. So as AgriFood Connect, we want to network all the SMEs with researchers, with other SMEs, grow across Ireland. But is there any other way you would say for us that we could help them reach investment?
I think it's really just talking, Jamie. So, it's really connecting with the right people. I suppose you don't know what you don't know. So go and speak to people and find out what you don't know, and then have those conversations early as well. I mean, from my own perspective, we're an early stage investor. We do a lot of seed investment. We do a lot of university spinouts. So come and speak to us. We never really say no. We just say not right now or yes. And if it's a not right now, quite often we speak to people for 6 months or a year or sometimes even longer before the companies are in a position to be in the place where they can take on investment. So as I said, there's investment there. Come and have a chat. And the likes of Jamie, yourself, the likes of Intertrade Ireland, Invest in I, Enterprise Ireland, etc., are generally quite good at signposting to people like us and others who can help. We want to help drive innovation. You guys are at the coalface of doing that, but we want to support that as best we can. So that includes, signposting and trying to shape your thoughts and your direction. So I'm sure you will share my contact details, Jamie, after this, and again, happy to have a conversation with any of those businesses, particularly in Northern Ireland, who are keen to go on this journey.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah.
I have a question, Jamie, if that's okay.
Yeah.
For Stuart.
Hi, Joe.
Hi, Stuart. Thanks very much. That was great overview and very useful info. Do you have experience working with HPSU, Enterprise Ireland, HPSU startups in the Republic of Ireland? Is there any of them on your portfolio, or
HPSU being high performance startups, is it?
Yeah. With Enterprise Ireland,
yeah. So
there's matched funding opportunity. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of our funds, Joe, is a match funder. It's called Co-Fund. We co-invest with other private investors. Unfortunately, from your perspective, we only support companies in Northern Ireland. So that money is coming from Invest in I. So it wants to be here and support companies that are here. But forgive me, I'm not just as well versed in the ecosystem down with you, but there are similar schemes with is it Dublin BIC, Enterprise Ireland, Intertrade Ireland. They will be able to signpost you if they can't do it themselves, to come alongside you from a match perspective. We see a huge amount of value in that matching. So what we do and what some of the guys do down south is we essentially match other private sources of capital. So if you have business angels or friends and family money, or you're putting your own money in yourself, we can come alongside that, match that money on a 50-50 basis, and look to take the same terms as those other investors. So that is a really good source of mix. You get your technical people who understand your business, but you also get the professionalism of a venture capital fund that has much deeper pockets than maybe the friends and family that maybe can only write sort of quite relatively small checks.
Thanks, Stuart. So in that case, would your company, your firm, become the lead investor? Because Enterprise Ireland, the match funding criteria is that the term sheet would come from a lead investor for Enterprise Ireland to be matching the funding in that case. So would that be the understanding there?
Yeah, so I think this is a good question, Joe. I think we come up against this all the time. I mean, really, co-fund wants to, it's the way it's meant to work, and the way the funding that you mentioned down south is meant to work is that, if you're raising £1 million, you're meant to come to me and say, Stuart, great news, I've got 800k of commitments. Can you fill up the final 200? And that's generally a very straightforward conversation. But really, in reality, what happens, Joe, is that you come to me and say, Stuart, I'm trying to raise £1 million, I've got nothing. So we then try and support you in pulling in the right investors that we have in our own ecosystem to try and bring them in, make an introduction, get them attracted, have them commit, and then for our money then to come in over the top of that after the event. So we are never a lead investor, but we like to be involved in the discussions. So for instance, if you had a business angel who was putting in 250,000 euros, they would absolutely be a lead investor from the perspective of the size of their check. And hopefully, given they're writing a large check, they would then technically be able to due diligence your business properly. So they would be the lead, we would be the follower. But really, what we want to do is we want to get and speak with you, Joe, earlier so that we can give you a guide as to what we think appropriate terms might be that would be attractive for us. So we don't want you to go and negotiate with that lead investor and end up with pre-money valuation of 100 million euros, and then you bring that back to us and say, here, great news, we've got this term sheet, we've got this 100 million euro valuation. I mean, it'll be a binary yes or no for us at that stage, and really the answer will be a very quick no. But if we can guide you and say, look, Joe, based on what we've seen in your business, the risk profile, the level of revenues, we think your pre-money valuation might be in and around 3 or 4 or 5 or 6. You can then take that to that private investor and go, this is the sort of the range we're in, negotiate with them, finalize something, and then know that once you've got something agreed, you can come back to us and you've a fair chance of us being able to come in alongside that money.
Thanks very much. That's clear. Thanks, Stuart. Thanks.
Thanks very much, Stuart. I think we could ask you questions all day, but I'll share your contact details and hopefully we'll have a chance at the end for more questions because I think we'll need to move on to our next speakers.
No problem. Just before I go, I see Brian's on screen now. So hi, Brian. I'm sure you will be nice when you're talking about your journey.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. It's been an immensely positive experience, Stuart.
All right. Okay.
I think that leads us on quite well to Brian Green, who secured investment from Stuart, and he's going to discuss his journey and how he got that investment into his company, Ironmune. And then we'll move on to Imran Asfal, who's going to talk about innovation and how to really build your innovative brand. So take it away, Brian.
Yes, so Jimmy wasn't too sure. We didn't get a chance to talk before the session, so I wasn't too sure what to pitch or what to say. But do you want slides, or are we just having a conversation?
I think a conversation's a nice way to do it. I think just short bit about who you are, what your company is, how you got that investment, and then we'll open up to questions. I think would be probably the best way, probably most beneficial.
Absolutely. Yeah. So my name is Brian Green. I'm based in Queens in Belfast, and the reason that I suppose I was invited into this is that we've had over the last few years an experience in spinning out scientific discovery from the lab and forming a company and progressing that company through the journey of investment, early stage development, product, and trials. Our company is called Aramune Technologies Limited, so Aramune for short. And really what we're doing is we're trying to develop the next generation of novel prebiotics. I think you all understand maybe what a prebiotic is, but modifying the gut microbiome. But we're looking at prebiotics that have other effects, such as in modulating the immune system, combating infection from pathogenic bacteria and microbes. And what we aim to do is to try to provide something that's a feed material or a human supplement that will help mitigate infection and boost growth in livestock animals, that particularly. So really about mitigating antimicrobial resistance in both humans and animals. That's really what it's all about. So the technology that we discovered was really based on some PhD student work where we were screening medicinal plants, and we came across a particularly interesting group of medicinal plants that had interesting immunomodulatory activities. We spent a lot of time figuring out what the compounds were, but once we had the compounds, we were able to file patents, and that was really at the part where we could contemplate spinning this into a company. And so what we have filed patents on are polysaccharide compounds that are found in medicinal plants. So we've resolved the structures and filed for patent on those. Polysaccharides seem to be a very untapped area because they're difficult to work with scientifically. They're hard to characterize. They tend to get left alone. Most people focus on proteins or small molecule drug compounds, and polysaccharides are, a fairly niche area. So we've taken that area forward. In essence, what we do is we are now growing fields and fields of medicinal plant crops. We're harvesting that crop. We're extracting the compounds from the crop, and we're incorporating that in the first instance into animal feed. So let's say piglet feed, incorporating it into the feed, and then we're trialing that product to see what the beneficial effects are of it. The whole premise of the company was to deal with antimicrobial resistance, but that's a very general objective. So what we were doing was to tackle one of the problems within the piglet sector, where a compound called zinc oxide was being phased out by the EU. So there was going to be a ban on the use of zinc oxide, and a lot of companies were looking for a replacement for it. So in getting the initial investment and getting the company spun out, was that regulatory change that was the sort of motivation for getting the company off and running. So we're offering a replacement for the use of zinc oxide, which is going to be banned within Europe. What they aim to do then is that their livestock animals will gain more weight. They will have fewer incidences of infection, fewer mortality, and ultimately a greater feed conversion ratio. So that means hopefully more money for farmers, essentially at the end of the day, so we're providing a solution. We do have plans to move on into other livestock animals and into companion animals where the market is more lucrative, and also into humans. But we went through the journey of Innovate UK's iCure program. So it's a sort of an accelerator type program where you're exploring the market to understand you've got your invention, where are the best markets for that invention. So you get to talk to a huge number of different companies, having many conversations. I think we had somewhere between 80 and 100 conversations during that journey, and that told us that the livestock feed material market was had very low regulatory hurdles, and that we could implement a product very quickly and easily, which meant we could get some traction and we could, what's the word, get trial out our product and demonstrate the benefits and the effectiveness of it, so that then we could move into more regulatory stringent areas, and we could then move into more lucrative markets. The animal feed livestock sector is a low margin market, and if we could make all of the economics work in a low margin market, then surely it would be very, very effective in a high margin market. That was a lot of the thinking. I don't know what else to say, Jimmy. I'll just give an update on where we're up to right now. I mean, in terms of investment, we've been through a couple of rounds of investment. We did the initial seed investment with a consortium of investors, both private and institutional, and we've had to go back for further equity funding to keep us running until we meet first revenues. At the stage we're at now is we are trialing our product with feed producers. We've done a lot of our own internal trials and demonstrated for ourselves that the scaled up manufactured product actually works in livestock animals, and we could see all of the signals that we're looking for in terms of good feed conversion ratio, improved intestinal morphology, improved gut microbiome profiles, improved immune markers in all the animals, and that's the evidence that's hope we needed to get the feed companies on board with doing trials that they're essentially will be funding themselves, and we'll be providing material for that, and hopefully retrieving the data from those trials. That's our plan. So yeah, I don't know. There's been a lot of different ups and downs along the journey, but yeah, I mean that's sort of in a nutshell what we've been doing.
I think I just have one question, like in terms of you're clearly an expert in your field, papers and like lots of data to back everything up, and I feel like every SME and stuff is an expert on their specific thing. But how do you actually communicate that with an investor in an effective, not patronizing, but in a way that's not just data and numbers and like a journal which reads like watching paint dry?
Yeah, so I suppose the first thing to say is I'm not a business person necessarily, and we have a very experienced management team that we've put together that have all those kind of business and financial and applied credentials. Yes, a lot of what we do within the university, it can be pure research and doesn't obviously make much sense to the person on the street in terms of their life necessarily. So you do have to break it down and demonstrate the effectiveness of what you've discovered. So I think it does relate to what the application is going to be. So if I'm passing anybody now and ask me what we do, what does RME do? It is straightforward enough to say, well, at the minute we are making a feed material that goes into animal products, and they end up we have fewer sicker animals, and we have animals that produce more money for the growers and the producers. So yeah, at the end of the day, yes, you do come down a few steps in your science in order to explain it to the person in the street. But I don't think that's any different from trying to explain a pure research project when someone asks you what you do. It's just that you have to be a lot more business focused in what you do. You have to understand what are the signals, whether it's an investor or whether it's a potential commercial partner or a customer. You have to understand what is going to motivate them to work with you. So I suppose a lot of the journey was having those internal company conversations internally between ourselves, say, well, what is the objective here? What do we need to achieve in the next 6 months, 12 months that would unlock that next thing that we need in order to continue on the journey? So it might be, what data does a commercial collaborator trial provider require to get them sufficiently interested to invest their own money in doing a trial in-house? And for us, it was, well, we need to actually do our own trial. So it was spending the money on exactly the right trial that would generate exactly the right data. So we had a lot of all those conversations. What do you want to know? What characteristics would you like in the product? We think it has them, but what evidence do you need that that's going to work? So that's, yeah, it is really just about conversations. And yeah, I mean, we have a very experienced chief technical officer in the company, and it covers a lot of the things that I'm very daunted about, which is, how do we can make a few grams of this in the lab, no problem, any day of the week. But what happens if you need 100 kilograms or 500 kilograms of it? And can you produce that at a cost that's in the right ballpark for a commercial collaborator to sort of get their interest? Yeah. So it's just being able to kind of chat to people, and it's not dumbing it down. It is relating to people, and it's giving, understanding what they need and what they want, and being able to talk their language a little bit.
Yeah, so just write to the exact proposal that they want, and basically,
Yeah, but then you're also dependent on the fact that you have to deliver. So
yeah,
if got to go away and come up with exactly that data, and that data has to be valid and convey the signal that they're looking for. Yeah. So yeah, we've had a number of trials and in different species of animal, and we've understood that some animal species work better than others, and focusing on where the most positive results lie, and also where the markets are most readily, you can tap into most readily and make a profit at the same time.
oh, that's really interesting. Does anyone else have a question for Brian, or no? And I think Stuart must be happy enough. He's silent there. So I think we're ready to move on to our last speaker, who's Imran Afzal from Beat the Squeeze, who works in open innovation for the agri-tech sector, and it's about really just finding that value added. So I'll leave it to
Yeah,
him.
hi. Thanks, Jamie. Hi, everybody. Nice listening to Stuart and to Brian there. Yeah, as Jamie's introduced me, my company's Worth the Squeeze, and what we do is we help large corporates unlock open innovation opportunities. And I work with startups directly, with CEOs, the board, to do pretty much the same thing, right? I also do sit on a couple of boards myself, worthwhile mentioning. So today, given the time, I just wanted to share a bit of experience that I've had with investments and investing, etc. And I think there's a few things that I've picked up along the way. I mean, I'm not I do invest, but I'm not obviously an institutional investor. So wanted to share a few things, as I said. So I think the first thing I'd say is do your research on the investor or the investor community. And I say this because you'll waste a lot of time talking to the wrong people if you don't do that. Some investors, or all investors, have got what they call an investment thesis, right? So that's an area or a topic that they will invest in. Another areas they just, not interested in, right? So if you're not going to be in that investment thesis, there's little point talking to them, I would say. So do know that. The other thing to understand very quickly is maturity, like your technology readiness level, because some investors will not touch anything that's pre-seed. So again, it's just knowing who you're talking to, and it's a diverse group of people. You've got venture capitalists, angel investors. I was speaking to one corporate, actually CVC, yesterday, and we not quite there yet, but 500,000 of investment is targeted towards the startup. If we get time, I'll tell you about a little bit more about how we got to that point. But so yeah, know who they are. On your pitch, and Stu did a really nice job talking about the pitch deck. I think really they're just interested in knowing about you, your company, the problem you're solving. But ultimately, it's like, how am I going to make money from this? That's what they're thinking, right? And I know it's perhaps a bit crude, and they won't necessarily, they won't tell you that directly, but you've got to underline that and have that front and center when you're talking to them. So do know that. I've seen a couple of presentations where investors have actually torn into the company that's presenting to them based on the TAM-SAM, size of market slide. So just a lesson from just a painful lesson for me is like, and I think actually Stuart did talk about that. Just be a bit cautious, careful, take a bit of time about that, right? Because you're trying to show them what kind of market you can tap into and make money from. And if it's unrealistic, like you're kind of, you're going to fail jumping that hurdle. It's going to hurt you for the rest of the deck. So take care with that for sure. Do anticipate questions because they're going to ask them, and know your numbers. Obviously, again, some of this is stating the obvious, but anticipate the questions that you're going to have. You'll get better at doing that the more meetings you have, for sure. The rapport side's really important. I've never had a successful meeting with an investor when the rapport's been lackluster or just mediocre. That's really important, right? So oftentimes you'll have the first call right on a Teams call like this. That's fine, but meeting in person, nothing like that, right? So that's certainly something to think about. Rapport, can't underplay that. I think that's probably one of the biggest items that determines success or not. Follow up on stuff, obviously. I think just to kind of to put things in perspective, I mean, 99% of the time you're going to hear a no from an investor, or as it was said, maybe not a no, but a kind of, maybe later, let's stay in touch. So you're going to need to be kissing quite a lot of frogs. And I think you just need to be kind of mindful of that and aware that it will require some patience from you. But the flip side of that is, obviously you've got to have confidence in your idea and belief in what you're doing and the problem that you're solving. And sometimes when you do get those knockbacks, it's important to go back and think and reflect and reinforce the fact that you have got something, of value, and not to get discouraged, right? Because that's part of being a founder. It's part of being a leader of a company, a business, an idea that's going to change the paradigm today. That's the sector that you work in. So you've got to hold fast to and have some confidence, right, to absorb those knocks. So those were the sorts of things I wanted to kind of talk to you about. I think keeping those in mind as you prepare, and do prepare, right, for the investor meetings. I was on a call with someone in Utah a couple of weeks ago, and we had really done our best to prepare for that meeting. And what I found was, because of the fact that we did take the time to prepare, we understood the portfolio companies in that investors portfolio at the moment. Even though we got a no, we ended up with actually was our product service was valuable to one of their portfolio companies, right? So we got a deal from we didn't get the investment, we got a deal shaped up for working with that portfolio company, because there was belief in what we had, but it wasn't the right thing for them to invest in. This is the venture capitalist. But so yeah, so even if you do get a no, there's lots of opportunities. Keep a good relationship, a rapport with these folks, because things can turn around. So yeah, and just very quickly in the limited time, that those are sorts of insights I wanted to share with the group today. I'll take any questions, Jamie.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, thank you so much for sharing those. And if anyone has any questions for Imran, now is a great time. And same with Stuart and Brian, who are both still on the call. It's a great time to ask some questions to investors and people who've gained investment, because it's like the most important thing is getting that funding to get your ideas out there. I think what Imran was saying about keeping a good rapport, it's especially important in Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland because everyone knows everyone. So if you strike bad rapport initially with an investor, word does spread. So I think be prepared, and if a no's a no, but take it and build on it. But there's no other questions. I just want to say thank you all for coming and make sure that you can make it on the 5th of June, because we are going to be bringing together SMEs, investors, we're going to be bringing researchers in and building networks, and hopefully you'll come away with, a project you really want to take forward with an investor, and that would be amazing. And Intertrade Ireland will be there as well if you have questions, and if you want to really pitch your idea to them, they'll tell you whether it's worth taking forward and worth exploring, or if it's worth finding a new network within our amazing network that we're building up here.
And Jamie, I was sorry for not coming in sooner, but yeah, I suppose maybe being slightly more focused now on what the meeting's really about and investment. And say one of the things that made us investable at the very beginning was the fact that we had spoken to lots of different potential customers or who we were going to sell the product to, and having an agreement with them in principle as to what we would do. So what would they be willing to do with our product? And that was sort of a very good indicator. So heads of terms on an outline basis as to where this product would see itself through the market. And the other thing was that we were very lucky at the end of that Innovate UK iCure program, that having passed through the options roundabout, which is called at the end of their program, that we became eligible for Innovate UK funding. And so we had actually a business only grant from Innovate UK to get the company started, but it required investment money to match, okay, to or at least to float the beginnings of the company. So yeah, I think those were the kind of two critical things, was like some signal from the market, and a little bit of money doesn't hurt either.
Yeah, I think in terms of seed funding, you can get that, but I think in terms of bigger funding applications, you really do need that market research. And I know a lot of kind of investment things, you do need a certain amount of employees, you already need a turnover. So it's doing that research to know what you're actually eligible for.
It's worthwhile also possibly just thinking about how, what might be useful to the group here. So I worked at Pepsi, Co before, and with Mondelez, and those companies have got corporate accelerators. And that's also a way, right, to kind of get to know a corporate, but also it looks quite good, right, to the investment community if you were selected for an accelerator, and you're doing some of what, Brian was just talking about, which is talking to customers, and hopefully you're having a deeper conversation with, a particular potential customer because you're within their accelerator, right? So that's also worthwhile thinking about. There's not just one way of kind of, getting out there. The other thing just to mention is, the proof of concept with a corporate, that can also lead to investment too, right, via a CVC. A lot of these large companies have got quite a lot of money they're sitting on, and they do want to invest in the right places. And if your technology is promising, and they see a way for you to help them in particular, they're very happy, right, to have a conversation about that too. So just something else to think about, right, from the big company perspective.
That's brilliant. Thanks so much for your input, Imran, Brian, and Stuart. It's been brilliant. And no, I think we want to take a lot of these ideas forward to the in-person event as well. And again, I just want to say, definitely reach out to us before that event. Work with us. Give us an idea of the problems you're facing. We can put you in touch with the right people, look at impossible investment ideas for you, and that would be brilliant. And then hopefully we can build some very successful networks through this. But again, the speakers for this have been excellent. Thank you so much for your insights.
Thank you very much.
And stay in touch for more updates from AgriFood Connect.
Thank you. Good luck, everybody.
Good luck.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Lovely. Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Bye.